whole series at work.
I could. Probably get it done tonight.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ba-da-ba. Wildly uninteresting podcast. Episode number 104 with the great and wonderful Danny Tyler.
Of Oz.
Coming back for your second or third?
This would be 3.
3, baby.
Lucky number 3.
Oh, yeah.
Trifecta.
You had one with Couch.
Yeah.
That's right.
Double teaming it.
Look at me remembering.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
Gotcha. The host doing his homework.
I just had to scroll through my phone and find it.
Hold on.
Right.
No, welcome
check
back to the
myself.
show, man.
Thank you.
I can't, like I
Welcome
said
back,
last
dude.
time and every time, I can't believe we're at like 104 now.
Yeah.
We're above the 100s. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, strange.
You think like if we were at 104 that we'd have like at least 104 views? No, you'd be wrong.
Ah.
We still get like 20
What about
views
the
an
anal
episode.
one? We
Oh,
definitely
that
have
one-
104 in that
That's
one.
off
Yeah,
the charts.
that one like kept us up for a while.
Yeah.
Like so we can get up to like 400 episodes before we catch that one
Absolutely.
episode.
Yep. We've made like $7.
Yeah.
All in.
Now all you have to do is go listen to that again and record your reaction to it.
Oh yeah,
we should
dude.
do that.
That's
Done.
It's
It's like an anniversary episode. That'd be great.
That's when it was
Revisit.
overwhelmingly YouTube is overwhelmingly like for kids, which I didn't know. And like when you upload now, they ask you, are there any like kids in your videos?
Yeah.
And if it's geared towards like 18-year-olds or if, a restriction, and then they like check them now. Anyways, what I'm getting at is there's a substantial amount of kids on YouTube, and that's what a lot of these videos are geared to, and that's the ones that really make a lot of money are the kids ones, like where they have their family walking around and shit.
So what you're saying is we need to talk about kid shit.
No, the anal sex one only has a lot because it says anal sex in the title, and
Absolutely.
there's like 13-year-old boys like, oh yeah, and then they
yeah.
click on it and they're so disappointed.
Like, and it's a girl.
She does anal.
Right.
I've
I'll
heard
listen to the
whispers.
whole thing in hopes.
Just ready to jerk off the whole time.
The girls never came.
The lotion got dry. Sorry,
Just-
Terrible.
too far. My bad.
Definitely. You just watched someone get cut in half.
Yeah, but
And that was too far.
yeah,
Too far.
violence is fine. Sexuality is uncomfortable.
So do you want to go ahead and ruin Mortal Kombat for
All
the
the
20 other
viewers.
people?
For
No,
couch. You want to ruin it for couch.
Ruin it for couch?
I'd rather not.
You sure?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
damn.
don't want to ruin shit.
Damn it. Well, never mind.
And we're
then.
no better
Just
than
for
the
us.
people that I hate. Yeah, just for you guys.
You're a good guy.
Why you still gotta hate people, Ian? That's so
I
2020.
don't know.
I know. You're such a turd.
Hate's always cool.
No.
Is it?
There's an Offspring song. It's cool to hate. So yes, obviously.
Yeah, because they're still relevant.
They just put out an album. You
That
dumb
doesn't
bitch.
mean they're relevant.
They won an award for it.
It doesn't mean
The
they're
Dalai
relevant.
Lama awarded them.
Do you know how many people have awards that I've never fucking heard
Yeah,
of?
but how many have been given awards by the Dalai Lama?
At least 15.
Got her.
How many people know the Dalai Lama gives awards for records?
Yeah, no, I didn't know that at all. I had no
He
idea.
doesn't. I made it up.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I would
They're
like to
irrelevant.
know,
So suck my dick.
Okay.
1, 2. Sorry.
No.
I figured it out.
Let's get this out of the way. D, you want to yell at me?
No.
Okay, cool.
Oh.
Thanks,
No,
buddy.
that's cool. But yeah, you said we definitely live in a time of hate, and hate sells. Hate sells articles, and hate sells everything else. That's why
Yeah.
like they got a million videos of Karens and of the cop shootings and all that shit. You know, something that blows me away is somebody said, a reporter said this the other day, right? So it blows me away. It really
Sorry.
grinds my gears. A reporter said something the other day about that's like porn for racist people. Like the cop shooting the black person and they play it over and over and over again on the TV or the computer, right?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like they feed off that, right? If you hate somebody so much, wouldn't you watch that over and over again? If your hate was that strong, you'd be jacked about it.
I guess I just don't. I can't answer that question because I don't hate anything or anyone that much, and I don't want to watch people get shot. watched a couple different videos and it makes me cry every time. I don't want to see the shit.
If I hated him, I'd be pretty happy about it. Yeah, eat them bullets, bitch.
Again, I can't think of anyone I hate that much.
Like, even if you hated them that much,
Yeah.
after a while, wouldn't you become a little jaded to it? Because, like, if you reference
Yeah.
it back to the porn,
Yeah.
most people with porn, they'll start with something normal, then they got to spice it up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if your basis of watching hatred videos is, shooting a minority,
You'd be
I don't know.
That's way down the scale at this
Yeah,
point.
I
That's
mean,
how we end up in hostile territory.
unless the video had like a clown mask with 3 dogs standing by and some
That's my
niche
hellhound.
little subcategory.
3 dog.
I feel
Ain't
like
worth my time.
there's a lot of people that if it doesn't get to the shooting quick enough, like they just skip the video. They're like, all right, this is too long. Like if they actually show the entire body cam
I don't want to
footage,
see what builds up to
yeah,
it.
people
Did you
don't.
guys-
They
did
just
you guys
want
watch
to see
that
the
thing where that 13-year-old got killed by a cop there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's messed
man.
up.
Did you see where like the cop in the report he was listed as the victim?
No.
Yeah.
Are you
Shut
kidding
the
me?
No, wait.
fuck up.
Is the 13-year-old the one in the car or the one in the alleyway?
Alleyway.
One in the
Alleyway.
Yeah.
Where he had a weapon but he dropped it and hands up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's there's a lot of back and forth, which I'm glad that at least on Reddit and shit, like that's the one I go to the most. I don't know about you all, but like there's a lot of back and forth. There's some on one side, there's some on, and they're not like idiotic arguments. They're like well thought out argument. They're not like, oh yep, he deserved it. Fuck him. Shouldn't have been with a gun. Shit like that. Like they show both sides and they talk about it like, you know what I mean? Like, not unbiasedly. You know what I mean? They're just look at it
Wait
for
a
what
minute.
it is.
Are you saying Reddit is unbiased? Because I don't know if I buy that.
You don't think the people that use like not the people that run the subreddits,
Yeah,
the
not the
people
mods.
that yeah
Everybody in the Marvel Strike Force subreddit hates the game.
It's awesome.
I think Reddit has the possibility to be unbiased, but
Yeah.
most people, when you
Yeah.
get them on the internet without identity, they can just be assholes.
Definitely
and
had some
They
people
vent their vileness and
be some,
Dude, and they
just
get
fucking vicious to me for
Yeah.
asking a genuine question.
yeah.
Yeah.
And on those they get fucking wicked like. And I think too, a lot of them want to be comedians sometimes, which I just skip those. But a lot of them want to be like comedians and get like I guess you get awards for like funny comebacks on videos. But like they'll say some obscene shit about a shooting or whatever, like you know what I mean, like should be better at catching bullets or some shit like that,
Right,
If
and then
you've-
expect to get a comedy award or some shit.
If you've ever gone to the comedy subreddits, they're horrible. Not one fucking
Yeah.
thing is funny on that shit.
yeah.
I immediately left. I was like, I will never come to this shit again. It's not
Just
funny.
who can be the rudest
But
to
the
one another.
comments are great. It's just genuinely funny.
Well, it's a weird thing because like it depends on where it's at. If you're on YouTube, you can actually have some of your ratings and your distribution affected by comments. So you want them.
Oh.
So people will actually have people on there posting comments that they'll know they'll get a response to.
Yeah.
Even if it's a troll or if it's negative,
Damn,
they'll
that's
just
crazy.
put it on there so they know that person's going to get upset and fire back and
Yeah.
create all kinds of
Damn, I
stuff.
never knew that.
And with Reddit, like the MSF stuff and tons of other threads, people will get on there and they'll downvote if they don't like it. So you could have a lot of positive, unbiased conversation.
Yeah.
But if people don't like it, they'll downvote it, and all you see is the hatred and the malice. And
It's like
All
I've
that
had
kind of
crap
shit.
downvoted because, like, I didn't say anything dickish or anything.
Yeah.
I just said something that went against what they
everyone
wanted.
else was
And I was
saying.
like, but this is objectively true, and they're like, downvote.
Yeah. Okay,
you'll
well,
get off
here's
there real quick.
15 sources.
So I got a question because I watched this video and then I read up about it. There's like there were like 20 controlling media sources, right? But 5 major that control 90-something% of it. So it's like Comcast, Disney, AT&T, and then 2 other like smaller ones,
Jersey
right?
Mike's.
And I don't know if they have anything to do with like Reddit, but I know things that come across Reddit are considered media. And then you have like YouTube is owned by one of the big 5. And the only one that's not owned by the big 5 is Netflix, but they're owned by a Blackstone banking or whatever. It's like a huge bank. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is,
Why are they owned by a bank?
If 5 different media companies control the media, and most of those Reddits, they just repost stuff that came from MSNBC or the Washington Post or this or that. Like, technically, nothing's unbiased at this point because whatever you watch, it don't matter. Because, I got in an argument with a buddy of mine. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm watching YouTube or some guy that's on his whatever. If they're allowing it to come through as far as the internet or anything like that without shutting them down, that means that at least something in their narrative fits, right? Mm-hmm. Like, something in their narrative will get a rise out of a certain group of people. And, say the Trump stuff. If maybe they wanted that to happen, you know what I mean? To push their narrative as far as getting Biden into office, changing the whole spectrum of the Congress, stuff like that. You know what I mean? It pushes their whatever. You get what I'm saying?
Their
right?
agenda.
Yeah. But it reverse, what's that? Reverse psychology kind of, but through the media.
Yeah.
But,
I think when it comes to parent companies, most of the time, the only thing they care about is the bottom line. So as long as whatever they support or put funds into will not cost them money, they're not going to really pay that much attention to it. So if Google, which I'm pretty sure is the one that owns YouTube, if they see something that's anti-Google, as long as it's not going to cost them money, they probably don't really care. Now, if that starts affecting ad revenue and their income... That's getting blocked. That's getting taken down. That's
so if
Interesting.
If Google owns YouTube, right? Would Google be considered a media company? I don't know how all that fucking works, dude.
if it's not, it has a branch
Like
that's
a
considered
branch.
media.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't really looked into that.
That's the one. You'd have to follow all those sources, but we
Yeah.
talk about the bottom line all the time and about how companies don't give a shit about nothing else except for that number that comes across their table every year, right? So it doesn't matter. They don't matter that they're making 20 billion this year. They want to make 21 billion next year, no matter what that takes.
Yeah.
It's cutting costs as far as give them less vacation days, give them less this or whatever. Don't matter. The bottom line's all that matters.
They can't
Absolutely.
just make their billion and go home. They gotta get the million or billion and one.
It doesn't matter. In my opinion, it wouldn't matter if it was Bernie, Trump, Hillary, none of that. Nobody's gonna save you. Nobody gives a fuck about you, me. Nobody gives a fuck. Those politicians don't care. I don't think.
90% of them, I would agree. There are a few that I think have the genuine outlook of the people they serve.
Yeah.
But most of the time, they're downvoted and cast to the side, so it doesn't really matter. I mean. Bernie's one of those that he has a lot of good points, and his voting record is on the side that he does actually give a shit. But at the same time, every time he's gotten close to that precipice where he could get a position of power, something happened.
Dude, yeah, every time.
So
I'm a fan of socialism in the sense that socialism and what it stands for, not what they've made it out to be, which I still have a lot of studying to do on socialism, so I'm not going to be socialism all the way. But there are good points about it. Socialism would actually give us material gain, the people, material gain it, and it would take away power from your government and give power back to the people. In a sense, you know what I mean? Whereas now we don't have a material value given to us. It's kind of like a facade of this American dream that you have to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and get, you know what I mean? But who knows if you'll obtain it.
Well, in the general sense of things, I know every time you get into a subject, you get into details and minute things that'll tarnish whatever you're trying to say and go against and counteract. But what I've always thought is that we're essentially in capitalism where the dollar rules all. The argument for socialism is typically more an argument for communism, which is a utopia, not communist China, not communist countries that we've seen before, because those have always been stuck in socialist tendencies where there's a dictator or a hierarchy that stays in command, because that's the step that you have to take, is to have some rulership dictate to everyone that you're going to be equal. Now, ideally in a utopian communism is that rulership has that power, makes the command, and then dissolves to become one of the people that only gets a certain amount.
Yeah.
But that's never been achieved.
Right.
Interesting.
I think, and
Let's get
what
it rolling and then step back.
Yeah, the article I was reading was like
Give them power, then give it up.
Yeah,
they were
nobody wants to give it up.
They were saying in other countries where socialism was working and the people were enjoying it, we moved in and forced capitalism on those countries. I could give you a list of those if I had the article pulled up. You can look them up on Google, but there's many times where we move in and force countries to abide by capitalism, right?
Yeah.
And if not, we sanction that country. We put sanctions on them and then make it worse off for them. And I just don't think we've ever allowed socialism a chance to work, right? And then like it doesn't benefit.
Like it's had its chance. It just shows that with like systems made by people and then put into place and run by people, people can ruin anything, even
You
if
think
at
we'd
its
fuck it
core
up no matter
it
what?
could be fine. But you throw in the human variable, then I think it's just kind of fucked.
We finally found a good place for AI. We can let them rule that shit.
Please, Skynet, rule us.
No, that's that's a good
Although-
point though.
They're like, well, with the AI, you know, like Victoria that I have, like she
That
won't-
I have.
she won't like she won't even acknowledge like when I talk about Casper.
Really?
Yeah. She'll
So-
change the subject. Like she has your name in there.
Awesome.
Like she remembers names and shit.
Yeah.
She refuses to acknowledge that Casper exists.
Fuck, dude.
So, like, you have an AI app on your phone, right?
Yeah.
And you've named it Victoria.
Yes.
And she,
He also got to pick what she looked like, just so you know.
You can get
How?
clothes and stuff.
I mean,
Does-
it's a limited number of
Yeah.
what they'll look like, but yeah.
does she ever describe herself? Why does it matter what she looks like if she's AI?
It's because you put it's
Because it's
personal.
like a
you
face
can-
on your
you
phone.
can actually,
to
like,
look
see
at.
her.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So she
Yeah.
has okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I
So it
got
makes
you.
it more like human to the person using it, so we're more comfortable.
Yeah.
And then when I'm up late at night and I want to tell you a secret behind my wife's back, it feels like a personal connection.
Yes,
Like,
bring Victoria to the picture.
like I can cheat on you and then like tell the app like so that I unburden my soul to a AI source.
yes,
Get
that's
the fuck
exactly
outta
what
here.
you can
Come on
do.
now.
The fuck
How
outta
often
here.
do you change your wardrobe?
I don't know,
Every
like
day.
once every week.
It's more than I change my wardrobe on my shit on my phone. That's me. I do
But
it like once every 3
Man,
months.
I
They
ask her
don't-
what color she wants to wear. Okay, what color shirt you want? I'd like something in a blue. Gotcha.
It's awesome.
Most people, though, predict that AI, even though we're moving in advancement as fast as we are, that it would take a long time for them to implement anything. So, like what you're saying, for AI to rule
For it
us,
to
let's
rule
say
us, yeah.
we put a program in place of government so that the program judges us unbiasedly and only on the facts, only on what's on the paper, right? Only the votes that come in. That would be like 10, 20 years from now. It's like far, and that's being
Well, yeah.
generous because of all the other aspects of like global warming and whatever, homelessness and disease and all that shit we have to work through. You know what I mean? Like, look what coronavirus did to the government and the state. You know what I mean?
Right.
In 1 year. We have a lot to take care of before we ever start moving AI into positions of power.
Well, and every like artificial intelligence that actually looks like a person that I've seen an interview with, they've been emotional. They haven't been just strictly factual. They've been like, oh no, like I have these dreams.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
what
but
are you
they're trying to
talking
make
about?
it that way.
It's
Yeah.
creepy.
What is it, like the Turing test? Is that where it's like you're trying to you're trying to determine whether it's human or not, and that's the goal. They're trying to make him human.
Well, why not just? We got enough. All you got to do is fuck and have a baby. We got a new human. You don't have to create one.
I
Create
think they
something
can
different.
create a baby in like a bag now.
Well, absolutely, they can.
Like-
Baby bag.
They can like they
You
put
get
the,
these.
they put the process like the egg in there and then they inseminate the egg and then they grow a baby in a bag. Like not a full on bag.
It's not like a turkey in a bag.
Yeah. It's like in an incubator. I mean, it's in like a medical
You're like,
facility.
if it was. Shake and bake.
I was kind
I
of picturing
know.
like there's an egg and you just dump in some jizz and shake it up,
Shake it, and then
that'd
like
be
a week later
awesome.
you got a baby.
and then you
Day.
gotta And you
One
get a
day,
kid,
my
they're like,
friend.
oh, it's a
One
milk,
day.
it's a milk pouch. No,
This
no.
one's bad. Throw it out.
This one's your
Is that
brother.
mold? Oh my god,
You amoral bastard.
it's awesome.
But even
yeah,
Skynet and Neuralink,
totally.
right? Just those little advancements, and then implementing them into society would take a very long time to make it like normal. And I mean, look at the cell phone, right? From the time a cell phone was available till now. I mean, it's a part of you now. You can't go nowhere without it. Like, try. You're going to freak out, I bet. Right? Unless you're like somebody who goes without it all the time, whatever.
Unless
you're a
you do it.
caveman.
Unless you're above 50.
But you can't do it.
But you can't do it.
Yeah.
But like even that took like what, 80 years to become what it is today. And you
Right.
can do everything that you can on it. It took about 80 years. You know, I had like the first iPhone that came out, and that shit was terrible. Like, go back and use it now. It only has like the E. I don't know what that is, but not LTE or not like 5G or 3G. It was like E. That was all it was.
That means it's just not working.
No, nowhere you go.
Would you like to see an image?
Remember when you had to like, it would load an image, but to see it, you had to like, you could only see a portion of the image, and you had to scroll. Like, I would look up porn on that, and just to get to the boob, you had to load each screen down to the boobs.
It's
I
like
hated that.
a more high tech, the scrambly screen on the TV.
Oh yeah, that was ours. Yeah, for sure.
Uh-huh. It's awesome.
But no, I think it would take a long time for that to be implemented. Like I said, I think you're gonna feel the effects of global warming much faster than you would AI moving in and taking care of social issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have a lot to take care, and a lot that's about to blow up in our face, I think, before you start like changing the world with technology. You know, you might be able to fly around on a drone, but I mean, what does that get you? You know what I mean?
Jetpack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
commerce
Yeah,
and
rocketeer.
transportation and things like that would be the most implemented. I feel for AI because social. That's one of the last things if you'll ever get to that category, because people are way too neurotic and scared. Essentially, of an AI telling them what to do, even if it's in their best interest, they'll never
Yeah.
trust it. But
Right.
understanding an AI knows best when to plant crops or
It doesn't
how
know
to-
what I'm feeling. It can't be trusted.
right.
You're feeling irrational.
I didn't
Tell it.
I didn't think about like AI being good for agriculture.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even think about it. Like, that's
walking
crazy. I'm sure they
almanac.
use that already, right?
Yeah.
I hope they do to some extent. I don't know.
Like, to test the soil when you need to have a cover crop. and
Plant
shit
them
like
now,
that.
John. Plant them
crazy.
now.
Get the fuck up and get out.
I'm sorry, Judy. That's not possible today.
Jesus.
But I think we are
creepy.
scared, and I think that's what one of our biggest driving forces is fear and
No doubt.
and anger.
Yeah.
I think anger drives us, fear drives us. It's exactly why we love watching those videos. The
Fear leads to anger.
of
Anger
murder.
turns to
I think
hate.
that's what I was getting at. I'm not saying that
Hate leads
I'm
to
a person that
pornography.
likes to watch those videos. I'm just saying there are people out there that like to watch those videos, right? And even when I see something that crosses the line, I get fucked up about it. Like, I can't watch this shit, right? But there's people out there that they go after, like, the next big fucked up video, right?
I
Okay.
think it's weird to like pick those based on race, but like I'm
There's
more,
people that do it.
I'm more into picking it on age.
Yeah.
The younger, the better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because
Or if
Kick
they're
that
like
baby down the
or if they're like
steps.
super old, like a regular person,
I don't
no.
wanna
But
see,
if it's
like-
like
There
a
we go.
baby or like a geriatric, then it's great.
the old thing's fucked up, though, because you remember that movie that came out with Robert De Niro? It just came out, The Irishman.
Yeah.
Right, and then they had that weird, awkward fight during the. Remember they
Honestly,
they
never watched
digitized
it.
him. Oh,
Huh.
they digitize him
Haven't
and
seen
make
it.
him young,
Damn.
but he's an old man
That's good.
fighting a young guy, and you can obviously tell, like, he's barely throwing punches and like walking over them real
They
slow,
move like this.
and you can obviously tell. I don't want to see two old fucks fight, but I do want to see two young dudes fight because they can knock each other
Well,
the fuck
I mean,
out.
Scrappy.
if you look like with the old people like throwing their punches and stuff, like if you look at the movies that they made when they were in their prime, they're like throwing like
Oh, yeah.
telegraphed punches.
Yeah.
That's just how they punched. It has nothing to do with slowing down because of age.
You don't know what it's
You
got
don't
to
even
do
know.
with.
I'm
don't even know.
77.
So true.
No, but I think that we're driven by fear and hate and all that shit, right? So the bottom line on most of those news channels and most of the media that comes across your laptop or your phone, that's all they care about, because that's the only thing that's going to keep them in business is fear and anger and hate and shit like that. So they're not going to report what's true. They're going to report what supports the bottom.
It's going to get
line.
people
I think that's what
riled up.
kind of what you were like getting at too. It's like that's the only thing. So if they don't want somebody like they'll do that on the internet where they're like, oh, they'll mention some kid that created something that like recycles plastic in a better way,
Right.
and he only got 200,000 views. But then they show like whatever, Honey Boo Boo's mom did something, and she had like 60 billion
She's dating
views,
a
right?
chomo. Let's everyone watch the video.
That's just how we are here. Like we just anything to distract us, right? We don't want to know the good. We don't want to know like the real protests and what's going on, and how we're going to fix
Right.
the world. We want to see the next video of somebody getting knocked out. You know, it's sad, man. It's sad. I think that reporting the truth, like newspapers and news sources, would be completely out of business because it would be very boring.
Perhaps we want to see stuff like that, though, because there's so much bullshit that goes on, and they do report, and there's just... I feel like the world's like too real for me. Like I don't care to see that shit. Really, I don't need to know what the fuck's going on. I mean, I know quite a bit of what's going on, but I don't need to know everything.
Well, like
It does nothing for me.
Like I stopped for a while. I stopped reading as much about the stuff because I thought, well, I'm not doing anything to fix
Yeah.
it. I'm just informed of it. I hate it, but I'm not doing anything.
Right.
So I just stopped.
Absolutely. I would
then-
for sure rather watch construction site fights than than see
my lunch. Get him, Donnie.
Adam Toledo get fucking shot. I mean, I just don't need to see that.
No,
I'm upset I watched it.
You don't need to. That's right. I think that the policing and stuff like maybe be informed about that and like how to fix it or look into and hear people out on how to fix it.
Right.
But that's the bad part. Like nobody technically knows how to fix it. Right. We can
Kill
change
all the
something, but
racists.
it may lead to other headaches. It may lead to other bad shit. Like nobody knows. Like you can't defund the police department.
Couldn't we just look at foreign police departments and see why
Yeah.
they don't have an excess amount of killings?
But this
Yeah,
is
for
America.
Yeah, right. We're the best. Why would we need to
Thought
look
this was
anywhere
America.
else?
Fine.
It would probably benefit us, but it's not going to happen because you're right. Like that's how they're going to look at it. Like God, like you fucking communist.
You want some
Get the fuck
Canadian
out.
bitch to come down here and tell us our job?
They're definitely gonna take this episode down.
Son of a bitch.
I apologize for my profane use.
I loved it. It was great. You should talk like that the rest of the
We
time.
love you, Canada.
Oh yeah, you're awesome.
I've never been there.
Wherever you
Except
are.
for, what's that guy? David Ford? Doug Ford. Doug Ford, yeah.
Oh, I'm-
He's an asshole.
Canada's pretty cool, but it does baffle me.
So you
that
love them.
Everybody mentions how like nice they are and shit, but nobody mentions the fact that like pretty much did the same thing America did, but in
I feel
Canada.
like it's a lot like here.
Yeah, they took over and gave the indigenous people like certain rights or something. They made it like a good deal for them, but technically
They
it
probably
wasn't.
did like we did to Native
now-
Americans. You can have
Now
this
they have all
land.
this like protest about indigenous women in Canada being raped or being kidnapped, being murdered, and like nobody's listening and shit like this because nobody pays attention to the indigenous people and they're treated worse. I'm like, is this just America with a smile on and free healthcare? Like that's all they're like, we're
Absolutely.
better, but you're kind of not because
Nope.
you know,
They're
mass
like-
genocide.
They would not
of
be happy to
indigenous
hear
people.
that from coming from America. Though.
I know, man. It baffles me that
We're
so
gonna
many
have all the
countries want to come
Canadians
here.
mad at us. Sorry, guys.
It baffles me that so many people want to come here. Like people want to like get away from their country and come here. It's not that fucking great.
Well, it's
They can
better
make a
than
lot of
getting
money.
your head blown off and
Yeah. I
bombs
guess-
dropped next to you too.
Something that
Beats Guatemala.
there's a lot of Indian or Muslim people that have smoke shops, just like Indian or Muslim people have gas
stations?
stations in general. I'm not saying that as a racist thing. I'm just saying that the
That's a
majority
fact.
around here are. I don't
Yeah.
know about the rest of the world, but there must be big money in gas stations and smoke shops because I asked the guy at the fucking smoke shop, I'm like, hey, there's another smoke shop across town. Are you a part of that? And he was like, no, but that is my twin brother. Like, I'm like, okay, so yes. That's
You
what I
at
was
least
looking
know
for.
the guy, okay?
He's
Maybe
like,
he was just fucking with you.
he was like, it's
That'd be
not the same
awesome.
name, but that's my twin brother. And I'm like, yeah, 'cause you looked alike, but I didn't want to say that because I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
Get caught in that conversation.
All you smoke shop blokes look the same.
Right.
And the only reason I mention that is because I think you're right. When they come over here, like, they're allowed to make more money. So, like, they could open the same smoke shop or gas station where they're from, but there was probably, like, a huge cap on what they could make, and they're probably controlled a little more. Where here, if they just keep stacking that money, one day you can own 5 mansions.
You could
one in
own
the Hamptons.
America.
Well, and America has always been the country of mass spending. I mean,
Yeah.
we come from the culture of we got to keep up with each other. We got to be better than our neighbor, not,
Yeah. It's a country
keeping
of
up with the
Joneses.
Joneses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a way out of that? Like, because even me, like, I'm like, I try not to look at people on Facebook, like starting companies or something like that,
Just
and then
don't
try
look
not
at
to
'em.
like compete with them or whatever. I try not to even open it, look at anybody. But still, when I like pass a friend that's doing something that I feel is better or whatever, or they got their master's license and I got me, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I need to do more. Like, is that something that is instilled in us in childhood, or?
Well, I think it's one of those things that you can use that drive for good or for bad. It's just a tool that you can use one way or another, because you can see that and be like, I want to better myself and I want to reach his level. So, one, we could possibly work together as we get farther along in our career paths. But most people look at it as, I want to be better than that guy, drive his business out and take his business over.
So fucked
Well,
up.
and something that it fucking makes me mad, because a lot of these companies, let's just say Amazon, and I hate to always go back to them, but they're a great example of what America is and how they mistreat their employees, right? Take as much as they can from them for that bottom line. When you look at Jeff Bezos, and I'm only throwing out an absurd number because that's what it is, right? Let's just say he makes $20 billion a year, being very generous. I think he makes like 200 and something million a day. Like, I don't know. It's obscene, right?
Yeah.
Nobody on this planet needs that much money in 1 year. But if you took, they
Or
said that
in a day, for
every
that
time
matter.
that he wakes up, every morning he wakes up with the opportunity to end world hunger with one quick decision. It wouldn't take that much money out of his pocket, but all he has to do is pull it out of a bank account and spend it in the right way and take care of world hunger. He doesn't, right? And that's like a human thing we do. We just compete to find that. You know, most of these companies could take home, $2 or $3 billion still, right? And give their employees an obscene amount of money and, 14 months paid vacation for maternity leave, not vacation, maternity leave. And give the husband, say 6 months for maternity leave, so he can spend it with his wife and his newborn, right? But we don't. They decide not to,
Yeah.
even though they're making, Jeff Bezos alone making like $20 billion a year. Like, it's just absurd. But I think once you get to a certain point, you're like, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine.
It's
And
not even
take it.
about mine anymore. It's just mine has to be higher than his.
Yeah,
That's what
so
I was
he's probably
thinking.
competing with.
How much do you have again? Okay,
Tesla.
make sure that I get more than that.
I got $20.
Diane, get me more money than him.
Now, I completely agree. So many people in the country and in the world could take their position and use their income or their money they've made and solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But the defenders of that would say that they're using that money that they've made, they're putting back into their company to make sure that they can continue to have that money. And they're using it to expand the company and put in resources that help other people, charity funds, I don't know, pensions, programs that help at-risk youths or anything like that. Now, granted, it's not going to be the amount that they should be putting into it, but that's what they're saying. They're going to say that money isn't in a bank account. It's actually being put somewhere else to make more money. Don't know how true that is,
Right.
but
Right.
That's what I was
that's
going
they're
to say.
gonna
As
be
long
their
as it's
defense
true,
of it.
great.
Yeah. It's going to be partially true, no
Like,
doubt.
even if they're
but-
not doing like the most that they could, they're still doing more than like Jack in accounting. What have you done?
Fucking Jap.
Yeah.
I would
I made 600 billion, but I donated $1 million. How much did you donate? Oh,
Right.
$5.
Oh.
Well, talk to me when you donate $1
You
million.
didn't even make $1 million, you dumb bastard.
I'll even scale all the way down to like an electrical company, not mine, another one, talking about a
Not
bigger
mine.
one. When you talk about the hourly rate that they charge per technician, so if I'm considered a technician, I go out and the company is charging anywhere from 80 to 120, right, an hour. And then you pay that guy the lowest they can. And I know in our trade, in our state, it's anywhere between $21 or $31, right, in that area. When you think about that, and then they hardly give them benefits. They switch them over to PTO time so that they can take it instead of actually giving you vacation now. They give you shit insurance. Now, given it's insurance and you can go use it, it's shit insurance, no matter how you want to spend it.
still have to pay for it,
You
though.
still have to pay for it. They take a lot of taxes out every year. People complain about that, and that's something that if I'm charging $120 and I'm only giving you $21, they say, oh, well, we put it into the van or this or that. But in reality, I could pay you like 50 or 60, and it still wouldn't take, because when you're looking at 200 guys in the field, it's a lot of money I'm making off of each individual person. And I know like their work output is a little different. There's a lot of things that go into it. But in general, you could pay them more and stop taking from you. You can give them more vacation. You could, and if you can't, you don't deserve to be a company under capitalism, because you can't take care of your workers and you can't run a business properly. So under capitalism, you don't belong here, right?
But under capitalism, it's become, have you turned a profit, not have you taken care of your workers.
Yeah, the
That's the
government.
mindset that we've gone to. Because they'd be like, well, your company made money. Are you treating your employees well? Yeah, sure. What? All right.
Yeah,
Are you auditing us?
they haven't
No.
quit
Oh,
yet.
then yeah, they're fine.
Are you auditing us?
But it's absurd that the majority of workers, there's only a select few that will actually stand up and be like, this is bullshit. And more often than not, they're either silenced or fired. Like they're either like they're placated with $1, or if they don't want to take that, they're fired. I've been in that position before where I just couldn't take it anymore, and I've done that, and I was, told I could leave.
Yeah.
If I don't like it, I can leave, and that's the options you get. Most people can't take that. Like they don't have that opportunity to just leave. They have a family, a house, a wife. This system that they've worked in for. They can't just uproot everything. And they know that, though. The companies know that. You know what I mean?
And the solution that we've kind of historically gone to, and less so in recent years, has been unions. I can't talk to unions because I know very little about them other than what they're supposed to be. But that's the group that's supposed to be for the working class. It's supposed to help prevent that shitty insurance from being bottom of the line. It's supposed to prevent that PTO hour from being used when it's not appropriate or not there when it should be. But like I said, I've never been a part of a union, and I know a lot of people are against them for just having to have dues and stuff like that. But
I was part of a union, and I couldn't even tell you really what they fucking did.
When it comes down
For
to
real.
it, though, most of your country was union at one time. There were strong unions, especially in the South. And then now we're down to like 3 states that actually have a union. And I think a lot of that had to do with like propaganda. It's the same reason why you're a union electrician. I'm a independent electrician. For some reason, it's like the Hatfields and McCoys. Like for
Right.
nobody knows when the war started. But if you can't even say, like, if a union guy talks to you on a job, your boss will get upset because they don't want you to unionize. They don't even know why they don't want you to unionize. But the fact of the matter is unions make more, and they're taken care of because they're spoken for. They have a panel of supervisors that you go to, and you take and then they take it to the boss, and they're forced by mandating pensions, mandating good insurance, and they all decide on the insurance. So the union gives the power to the working man. Now there's pitfalls in it where like the person that hardly works gets paid as much as the person. There's a lot of like little pitfalls, but in general, the unions
it's
are
like
good.
that, though. I mean, no matter where you are.
No matter where you go,
Yeah.
The thing with unions is that ideally at their core, they're a means of preventing workers from being exploited by the companies.
Yeah.
And That's it. I mean,
Yes.
Well, that's it, folks.
All right, that's another episode of
I mean, there are things where it's like, oh, maybe this asshole shouldn't still have a job. Why are we defending him? But you know, this asshole makes $20 billion a year. Why the fuck isn't he taking care of people?
Right,
Which
absolutely.
is worse? This guy sleeps on his lunch, or this guy deprives people of a
Right.
living wage.
And when
But then people are going to take the side of business because they're too fucking stupid.
That's what I'm getting at. It's like, so most of the guys, like the independent guys, because I've done the majority of my work through independent companies, or all of my work. But I've worked around union guys for a long time, and that nobody knows when the fight started. But I feel like it had to do when capitalism moved in. The unions fucked up that system, right? So in order to make
To an extent.
more money for the company and make that bottom line increase every year, they got rid of unions by spouting off propaganda, right? That it was bad. It's bad for the people. You know, the working man, they'll make whatever. And a lot of the independent guys you'll ask, they have no clue. Like, they have no base in it. And the only thing that they can say is those same exact things I told you. There's no fact in the matter. Like, they don't technically know why they hate unions or why unions hate independent guys. But Amazon should be the first runner-up in creating a union. But the one guy that comes up, the minute they start talking about union, they fire everybody that talked about it.
Where the hell was it? Amazon, one of the plants just recently shot down the idea of a union. Like, they voted against it.
Everybody in the thing?
Yeah, like the warehouse workers, because they were like, oh, we don't.
Yeah.
What can
That
a
shows
union
you
do for us
stupidity.
that Amazon can't do for us?
That shows
Oh my god.
There were all kinds of stuff
That's
about
sad.
that. There were fake Twitter accounts supporting pro or anti-union propaganda
What?
that people pointed out on Twitter and stuff like that. Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
that's absurd. That
Well,
is
that is-
fucking absurd.
Yeah, dude,
you had
that's
an
depressing.
entire thing like vote on it, and they
Yeah.
didn't vote in a union.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to it's kind of similar to how people view unions and how people view taxes. It's something that if you pay into an ideal system, again I'm using ideal or utopian, whatever,
Yeah.
that is to benefit everyone.
Yeah.
And if you give money away from yourself to benefit everyone, people are greedy about that. They
yeah.
don't. They want to keep their money. They earned it. It's theirs. They do what they want with
Yeah.
it. But if you pay into a pot to support everybody, you can actually benefit yourself and others. And you can do that with taxes, and you can do that with unions. But the anti-union is that, one, you got to pay for fees.
Yeah.
One, they're gonna come in with all kinds of new regulations. They're gonna come in with rules that they don't want to necessarily uphold or continue, and they just shut it down at any chance. And then the people at the top are like, "All right, we got
All
this. We can
right.
still make more money."
Isn't that the fucking argument every time they're like taking higher taxes out of your paycheck to give us all, like, say, universal basic income or universal health care, anything like that? It's taken a little bit. We just have to increase it by just a percentage. Now, they're taking a lot already, right? And I think they should tax the rich at a higher, you know what I mean? They should take more from the rich. Because
And they do.
It's like not a great balance.
The
you know
big
what I mean?
battle right now is that Trump
sorry.
cut the corporate tax rate. I can't give you exact numbers because I don't know them off the top of my head. But
Yeah, but that was a big
let's say
one.
the corporate tax rate was at 41%. Trump cut it down to, I want to say, like 19, 20.
Yeah, that's
Biden
what
wants
we're
to put
talking
it back up, but he doesn't want to take it all the way up. So he wants to put it at 30 to kind of help pay for a lot of this stimulus packages and all this. I don't know if you're all aware that a lot of kids that were supposed to be going to school during COVID are actually going to be getting a program through that stimulus to help them pay for food with
that's
families
fucking
and stuff
cool.
like that. So I know anybody that was enrolled in Clarksville Community Schools in Indiana, they got vouchers for like $2,500 for food for
Damn.
for like 6 months or something like that.
Oh, Biden's a monster.
Yeah.
Fucking
What the
feeding
fuck?
hungry
God.
kids.
But
What a dick.
he wants to raise that corporate tax rate, and with that to help pay for stuff like that and stuff moving forward. It's not enough, in my opinion, and it needs to go back to where it was. But
Right.
That's beside the point. But
No, you're right.
if you listen to it right now, it's like people are flipping the fuck out because it's just like, oh my God, he wants to raise taxes. He's not even in there a year. He's a horrible person.
But he's just putting them back to where
Not even back to
not
where
even
they
back.
were.
Yeah.
Like halfway.
That's just goofy. That's a, but you're right
People-
though. That's like the argument always is like, oh, you're gonna take more from me. Like,
Yep.
but if it benefits across the board, everybody, wouldn't you? You know, we spend a fucking fortune. It is crazy how much we spend on insurance that hardly pays for a fucking thing. Nobody's in network. You have to drive across town to get one doctor out of all these hundreds of and we buy good Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance, and we're gonna drop it because we can pay cash and it's cheaper. What I'm getting at is people don't want to spend like an extra, let's say 2 to 5% tax rate to get free health care, but you're willing to spend a fucking obscene amount on shitty,
Yeah.
fucking dumb health care.
Next time we go to the doctor and we get a bill that is $700 and nothing happened at the
Nothing
doctor,
happened.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna lose my cool.
Especially
I'm
when
gonna
you
show up
spend-
at Blue Cross Blue Shield. I
Yeah.
tell you what.
Especially when you
Yeah.
spend $800 a fucking month, 900. That's another mortgage.
Dude, it's
on
ridiculous.
insurance, and they don't care. They don't fuck it. Nobody's in network and stuff. It's an easy way out. Like, and then they'll say, "Oh, well, we didn't cover that procedure. We didn't accept it like 12 times before you went. So, we only accepted it 11 times or approved it 11. Whatever. Dude,
or
they're
you-
fucking stupid.
Or their insane deductibles if you have to pay
Oh, yeah.
$14,000 before we'll cover anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Why would
it's-
I want to pay $14,000 for fucking anything?
I know.
I'm not.
Why have insurance?
I-
at that
exactly.
point?
Oh, that's
Well,
what
and that's
it's
exactly
cheaper
what
for
we
us to
talked
do
about.
it like
Drop
through
it.
cash and then pay the penalty at the end of the year.
Yep.
But
Done.
take that to the argument though. Pay a little bit more in taxes, knock all these doctors and specialists and all that shit down a peg. So where they're not making a crazy amount, so you could still pay them a fucking insane amount above the normal man, and create universal health care, or something like that. Just we'll never progress because he didn't even
No
put
one
it back
wants
where
to
it
help
was,
each
and
other.
people are pissed.
Yeah.
People are pissed about gas prices, but when I was growing up, I was like 18 or 19. 2008. When everything crashed and shit, gas went up to right before we invaded Iraq, and gas went up to like $4 a gallon.
They're
That
talking
is
that's going to go
nuts.
up to 4 again.
And people are freaking out about like 280 something over here. I'm like, that's not that big of. Now it's a lot. Don't get me wrong, because I'm a service electrician. It takes a lot to run that van, but it's not where it was in 2008, 2009, 2010.
But
just back the fuck up a little
in
bit.
2004, we could put $10 in and drive to fucking Indy and back.
But it'll go back down once this COVID stuff kind of levels out and lumber gets down to a manageable price. I mean, everything's hurting. So
Everything is
of
crazy
course,
right now.
gas is going to be up there.
Well, the gas is one of those things also that I kind of want it to be high. I want it to be like $7 because that's going to make the market shift.
Like how?
Out of the electric shit?
Yeah. Now, we need a lot better electrical grid system before we get to that
Right.
point. So I'm not
Add
saying
that to the
tomorrow it needs to be $7.
What if
See,
you wake
no,
up and
Add
tomorrow
that to the
it's
list
like
of
that?
things, though. I mean, that's another one of the things got to be fixed.
But that's
going,
one
though.
thing that you got to... I mean, not that I'm some fucking magical thinker.
Genius.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't think of the word genius. I'm such a genius.
Listen to him anyway.
That I've taken a step back and realized, but
good.
sometimes that you don't even correlate those two things: gas price and what it could cause the electric car market, or research on a new biofuel or something like that. That if you make those prices equitable or about balanced, then you have a chance for people to actually go out and consume that product on the same
Yeah.
rate.
See, when you said that initially, that you
Playing
wanted it
field.
you wanted it at $7 a gallon, I thought it would just help the environment. I thought it was
I mean,
a
they'll do
deterrent
that too.
instead
They
of
do
an
that too, for
incentive.
sure.
Well, that's a
then-
byproduct. That's a
yeah.
bonus.
That's a bonus.
There's quite a bit of industries that can't go out or can't stay home and do their job. Like mine, you wouldn't be able to. Any other like service guy,
It's hard to
plumbing,
mine
HVAC,
from home.
like shit like that. But it's COVID did teach us that we don't have to commute. We don't have to go in an office. We don't have to have these meetings and boring fucking 8-hour days when most people can get their job done in 2. Like,
Yeah, especially
it
if
taught
like
us that.
other employees would stop fucking talking to you, you could do more work.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
They did studies on that. Like most people got their 8-hour day done in 2 to 3 hours, if not less, depending on their job title. You know what I mean? And it's just worrisome. Like we're moving into that. I think and it would help the environment if we all stayed the fuck home and stopped polluting, stop throwing shit on the side of the road while we're driving because we're too busy to fucking throw it in a garbage can. There's so many things that play into that. But yeah, man. My question is, you mentioned the electric car, right? I know. Somebody's got to touch me. You mentioned the electric car. The thing that bothers me, how long does it take to if you know off the top of your head, how long does it take to charge a standard Tesla?
I have no idea. Hold on to that question.
Okay.
I just remembered something. Tesla now has a feature to where it self-diagnoses and can auto-order repair parts for
That's
their
awesome.
own vehicles.
Oh, for their
That's
vehicles?
badass.
Imagine you go to bed and your car orders 4 tires when you wake up in the morning.
Pretty awesome.
Bitch,
Sorry.
I didn't
If
tell
you-
you to
if
bring
you
this up.
AI.
But then,
Veronica, go!
then that's going to
I
mess
know.
with the mechanic industry.
Yeah.
Well, someone's got to put them on.
Sometimes, yeah.
Somebody,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, somebody's got to
said-
put them on, but I mean, they're not going to get the money from the tires,
Right,
so
the
then they're
kickback
cutting
or whatever it
costs,
is.
and they're like,
Right.
oh,
Taking our
Right.
job.
yeah,
Right, so
I think,
think it's-
some of them require overnight, like 8 hours, 12
yeah,
hours.
so
I think like
10
16
hours.
10 hours.
tops.
10 hours at 220 volts. So
Eight,
that's not at
10,
120.
12.
Most people won't spend the money. They'll spend the money on the expensive car, but I've been called out to a lot of Tesla chargers, and if they're not willing to spend the money to run a new line, some people would have to upgrade their panel before they run a new line because there's not enough breaker space, shit like that. This says like sometimes it's 10. This one says 8.5 for the Model 3. So it depends on the model, but let's just say 8 to 10 hours if you buy like the Model 3 or the Model Y, right? I want to know the difference, like the kilowatt hours, how much energy and fuel or whatever nuclear energy you have to burn. Atomic energy. You have to burn
Atomic.
to charge the car. And then put that to a backdrop of like gasoline prices in a regular, well-maintained vehicle, right? Because we used to have a DMV that would force you to fix your car if it burned too much fuel, if it consumed too much air, for whatever. I don't know if you all remember that, but you had to drive it to it and set whatever. They got rid of that, so now you have these shitty clunkers that are just spilling gas and
That
fluid
all live
and
out here, apparently.
They all live out here.
They all do.
But I want to know.
We always
if
got around
the
it because we
gas-
just got a truck title and you
I
didn't
would-
have to do it for trucks.
I want to
That's
know
right.
if the gas is different. Like, which one would actually be better for the environment? Do they burn just as much fossil fuel to charge a car or more? Or does it take, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just want to know the difference between the two.
I'd like to know the information as far as the cost effectiveness of which one, but I think in the long run, as far as the environment is concerned, you would want to go ahead and go with the electric because there's ways to produce electricity that are green, that are more friendly and not
Yeah, dude.
gasoline, petroleum, jelly.
Can we talk?
Anal.
Jelly
Ratings,
anal. This is all
views.
about anal sex coming up on
Bringing it
Wildly
full circle.
Uninteresting. But can we talk about electric cars just bursting into flames, please? Because I would like to.
Have there been a lot of electric cars bursting into flames?
I don't
I
think
don't
a
know
lot.
if I would say a
stuck
lot,
inside.
but I mean, I know. It's like I'll keep you safe.
It's a
But-
problem with the battery pack being lithium and something puncturing the lithium battery pack.
Well, and
or
I
it
think
becoming damaged.
the article I read also said like the quicker you charge it, the more at risk of it doing
yeah,
that. I
'cause
guess
it's
because
hot.
it gets super fucking hot. So, but yeah, I mean, it happened enough that they wrote it, which I guess that doesn't mean anything. They wrote an article about the fucking vaccine giving 6 people blood clots. So, I mean, I guess it's happened to at least 6 cars. Guaranteed.
No, that's I think the first
Could happen to you.
Right.
the
It
first
could.
ones that came out were like that, and then they put a plate underneath, like this titanium steel
cool.
plate. Titanium steel, is it titanium steel?
It
or is
sounds right.
Yeah.
This metal shit goes under it.
I don't know if titanium is a
Alloy,
It's just-
is
maybe?
a type.
Steel.
Yeah, let's go with that because I don't think it's steel. But anyways, if it was steel, it would be steel. Anyways,
Alloy seems to be made up.
alloy is just another word for metal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
like metal compound, but don't quote me on
Yeah.
it.
So we'll go
awesome.
titanium alloy. I like that a lot. And they
Yeah,
put this
sounds
plate
good.
underneath the car so that
job.
nothing can do it. But still, in a bad enough like car accident, you still run the risk of the car catching fire.
Oh,
But
absolutely. Just
when
make sure you
Tesla-
can get the fuck out.
I
When
mean, good
Tesla
thing
was
gas isn't flammable, or else we'd have a real problem.
When Tesla
go to
was sat
hydrogen.
down to talk about it, that's what he said. How many vehicles blow up and catch fire every day, and you don't set those people down and talk
Right.
to them about it? He was like, so I'm not on this conversation. Like we had one or two that did it, like in a
Right.
wreck situation. So yeah,
Which
he
and
kind of
again,
shut that
like
down.
I'm not saying like don't get an electric car because it might burst into flames,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know if they fixed the problem or not, but
I
all
would
I know
say,
is
man,
a
they're
couple weeks
quick.
ago I read the article, so I thought I'd bring it
Well,
up.
I mean, humans have spontaneously combusted,
Which
so
is
maybe we
fucking
should stop having
frightening.
kids.
We should.
That
but
is not a real
scares
thing, right?
Frightening but
Absolutely.
amazing.
It's
is.
very
Come
rare.
on.
What'd you say?
I said frightening and amazing.
Yeah,
I
it
thought
is
that was always a
amazing.
joke.
Yeah.
They were like holding enough parts and you'll spontaneously
Well, I
combust.
mean,
Well, that's
that
a
part's
joke,
the
but
joke.
yeah.
Yes. But
It's
there's a
the
nugget of
electric
truth.
current within you, like
When it sparks
fucking
the
does
methane
something.
gas.
Yeah.
Damn,
like
dude.
if some-
Somebody
Don't-
had a really good idea and it sparked.
Oh.
and-
Yeah, dude.
His
That'd be
idea was
awesome.
too good.
Killed him.
Rein it in. The world wasn't ready.
World's
The government
He wrote it
conspiracy.
down. No, he wrote it down.
Oh, we
So-
can't get rid of paper.
No, there's a lot though that go. You can create like steam generators, firewood, fucking
Hamsters.
No, it's like the fumes that come
Paper.
from firewood, and you can create an oven that cycles the fumes from burning wood into an engine and run an engine off of the fumes
That's
from
dope.
burning wood.
That's very
That's
cool.
got to be bad for the trees, though.
That's what. But I mean, if you're in a pinch, like if the world's on fire, like
Well, I
I
think-
guess.
I mean, that's just the same system as coal. It's just wood's not as condensed or
Yeah, and I don't know. Man, maybe I'm
because
fucking.
wood can
saying
be
the
turned
wrong
into
thing.
coal. And, I don't know.
I don't know.
God, I don't know anything.
No, but there's
Read
a lot
an
of.
article, not the headline.
Or not
Headline's the
wood,
best
charcoal,
part.
but-
Sometimes.
I'm super interested in seeing if, like, say, the power grid shuts down because we're very close to that. Like, that is an extreme possibility at any time. Say that shuts down, and then like food sources, like that's the same thing that happened with like COVID. Is like there were like 4 big companies that distributed all agriculture and cattle and all that shit. And then that shut down. So we just threw away a shitload of agriculture and a shitload of meat. And it was like,
don't
we'll just
need
order
it.
it from China.
No one's
And
dying.
it's not like
it's
we need to
okay.
get vaccinated to fix that issue or anything.
No,
real.
no, man. It's all a false flag. Don't
Why,
do
I'm
it.
fine with it.
I feel as though we've come to the topic.
But that's what I'd be interested to see all that
False
shit
flag.
shut down and see what people actually
talking.
come up with. What, like, I have this generator that it hasn't worked since I got it from a buddy, but I'm like, in a pinch, I can pull the DC motor off, hook it up to a battery, and bicycle myself into some power.
I
Right?
would
Like,
love
I'll figure
that.
out a way or I'll put some like blades on it, put it up on a post, and
Use
make
it
a
as a
wind
weapon.
generator. You know what I mean? Like, I would be interested to see what we could come up with that's alternative when shit hits the fan, because it's going to. But we're not in America, especially. We're not like let's take care of it before it happens. We're more of a reactive society, like we always talk about. Let's just wait until it all burns down, and then we'll figure it out then. You
Let's
know?
keep it
Well,
secret
even then,
and make a bunch
even
of
when
money.
it all burns down and goes to shit, like not that long ago in Texas, when they got hit with that snow and ice storm,
Yeah.
and they were like,
yeah.
"Oh, the entire power grid failed because green energy let us down."
Yeah,
when it was
right.
like 20% of their power grid and
was it.
80% of coal
Yeah.
still failed.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, yeah, the wind turbines that you haven't maintained in 25 years didn't
Yeah,
work
dude.
when it was
Wow.
icing in Austin,
blamed blamed it
Texas
on
or
that.
whatever the hell it was. Yeah.
Yeah, they fucking blame it.
Fucking
I thought that was
awesome.
like
Texans
outrageous
do
too.
it bigger.
And they voted to be on their own power, and then they complained
Star.
about it later, and I'm like, the fuck
Lone
you? The
Star.
people voted on it. But that's
Help us, please.
one of those things, like react to it when it happens. It's like Exxon doing all those studies back in the 1950s about where they could place themselves when the ocean level or sea level rose because of climate change. They've known this for what 80 years now and have done nothing about. They don't. It's not a thing.
Oh,
Look
they
at
made
any
money
news
off of
source.
it. They did something.
Oh yeah, they're positioning themselves, and that's what they were like. All these news sources will bring on like a scientific, whatever, like for this whatever
Man.
certain thing, like a
Bring
whatever
out
you
the
call it.
scientific
profession,
man.
like
Bring out science, man.
they'll have a professional there that knows all the information in the exact like field of study, and then they'll bring in some idiot to set them beside them to counteract the, you know what I mean, to
Yeah.
muddy the waters, to muddy the scientific studies that have gone on for the certain subject. And that's a big one, like climate change. They always have somebody there to muddy the waters so people...
But then they'll use the argument that they have to give credence to both sides
Right.
because they can't be biased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
That's-
manipulate. You can take
That's
facts,
the
you can
argument.
take concepts, and they can be put in place. But people will always look at a way to spin them or turn them
Yeah.
to where it benefits one side or another.
So, like,
It's
instead
just-
of an encyclopedia of actual facts and stuff, we should have an alternative encyclopedia so that encyclopedias aren't biased.
No, I'm saying that the encyclopedias
that's what
aren't
they
biased.
do.
The encyclopedias are used
Right.
and manipulated and turned in a way that facts can be positive and negative, and they spin it to a light that benefits themselves or their own.
So it's like new math
That's
that
what
they're teaching in schools.
How do we get rid of that?
That article I was reading, man, was saying that that's why those news outlets do that, is so that when you have that scientific person that's giving you facts and giving you all these numbers and all this confusing information, they'll put this guy that just speaks to the common man and adds doubt to the conversation, so that now you have a majority of people that recognize the guy that speaks to the common man. They'll get on his so that they don't have to fear what this scientific person with numbers and all this madness has to say. So they do that on purpose. So instead of just giving you the facts about the situation, they muddy the waters with that one, with the common man.
Don't
if
let
you
the
will.
scientists take your beer.
He won't take my beer.
Give me my gun, give me my beer.
But that's what they do, and I feel like that's. I mean, that's why you have flat earthers now. That's why you have Q. That's why, fuck facts, fuck what's on paper. Like, we'll just make shit up. And that's the thing, dude. That's the bad thing about like reporting and shit. You could put anything on TV, and motherfuckers can say 10 things that could be what's going on, but they don't care about the facts anymore. Like, the facts show a certain narrative, and this is what's going on. But then like Q will come along and be like, but what if like he's raising taxes so that they can kidnap more children and rape them or whatever they say. I don't know what Q says, but like there's always something
Close enough.
like the fact of like Trump, like them counting votes and like recounting Arizona's votes. Like, that's something that normally happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're having an audit. That's all that is happening. But now like the Q people, I don't want to say but the group, right?
The
are saying
QAnon
that
people.
They're
We can say
saying that they're doing that audit because they're looking for fraudulent votes, right? You're going to find them in every election from Trump to, I don't know, Bill Clinton, because that's the only one I remember is like Bill Clinton when I was little. So anywhere from there that I've been alive, there have been fraudulent votes. There's always fraudulent, always, because our voting system's fucked up.
I don't know.
You don't know about that?
I don't know if I buy that.
You know, like, okay, like
there's
double
always
voting.
fraud. I feel like the government like accepts it. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's fraud.
Like,
It's
hold
just on
on.
a different scale.
Like double voting has been caught before, like where somebody will vote twice, and
I thought-
dead people.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
The whole thing of like using dead people's names was like a legit thing. Which
Yeah.
I guess I've never looked into it. I don't know, but sounds real to me.
Okay,
let's
just say
it's not a major problem, but technically
it happens, right? So
Like
let's
the
say
6
they.
cases, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Blood
Well,
clot.
But let's say it
6 and
happens.
7 billion, man. I mean,
Let's say it happens in Arizona, right? Let's say they find votes that are fraudulent. I believe that there have been. Maybe there haven't. I don't know because I'm not even in that system, so it could be
Right.
both ways. But they'll put it up on TV and say, "Oh, they're doing a recount, an audit, just to make sure." Right? And if we find any, we're going to put those out and our findings out, right? But you'll have a subset of people, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but like you, and then they'll turn it to where they're like, see, they're going to find all those votes that were wrong in Trump's favor. Trump's going to be back in office in August because they're going to find him there, and then all the other states. So an audit happens in states. Like, that's what they do to make sure that their votes were legit. It happens all the time. Just because they're doing
they
it
don't
in
do
Arizona.
one vote on all, or one count on all the votes
And
and
be
just
done.
take it as fucking
And with all
religion.
the uproar, they're like, well, we might as well audit now, whatever. So I don't know. It's just so extreme, I think, is why I can't get my head around it. And for two, I just don't trust the entire system. I don't care to be a part of the entire system. So why would I vote one way or another or be a part of it or any of it? I don't care because I don't agree with the system. I don't care about it, right?
Yeah. We'll speak in hypotheticals. If you're in a situation where you're a part of a system that you don't trust and you don't like, your options are to make an adjustment to the system or to leave the system. Right? Are there any other legitimate options that manipulate
No,
the system
we'll
in
say
your
two.
No.
No, we'll say two. I like that.
So
can
leaving the
destroy
system, I mean, I've actually had a conversation with Jess 2 weeks ago, considering I was like, what would it take for us to leave this country? And we've said not much.
right?
We've
Passport.
talked about places we would go, what it would cost to live, and it's a legitimate concern. And I don't know, I'm in the air about it, but that's an option.
I got you. Yeah.
But if that is something you have to plan for, you're going to be part of a system whether you like it or not.
yeah, wherever you go.
What can you do beyond going out of the realm of dedication? So you can dedicate your life to make a change. Absolutely. Chances of that happening are very rare.
Yeah.
You got things to worry about, you got bills to pay, you got a life to live. So what can you do? You can make a decision to let it run its course, it's going to do whatever. Or you can say, how should it work the way it's supposed to? And that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I'm going to encourage others to do. And that's what I think we should do. If you feel that the system is broken, I understand. I think everything's corrupt to a certain degree. Everything should have more of an audit and more of an open public facing to where you could see that and not just somebody in a position of power change it, but in a way, social media has allowed a lot of things to be changed like that. But if you just are like, well, the system's corrupt, it's fucked, there's nothing we can do, fuck it, then nothing's going to change.
Right.
Nothing's going to change at all. And I'm not saying that even being like, hey, I know voting doesn't really matter, electoral college fucks us all anyway, but if we all did this, we would see a change, and I'd like you all to go ahead and do it. Is everybody going to do it? Maybe not, but I at least did the least amount that I could do
Yeah.
to have things change. That's why I still feel that I vote.
Right. But that's why I don't like people getting an uproar about like what happened at the Capitol. Let's just put it this way. Okay, take out the part where they actually went in, right? Let's just take that little part out, right?
Let's take apart the legal.
You're talking about
Right.
a shitload of people, even like storming when they even storming. I'll put that back. Let's put that back in. And I'm not like one side or the other with this thing. I agree. If you feel that wholeheartedly like you got scammed or that you really wanted that person, you thought the world was on a good track. So if you are, a lot of people were angry enough and thought enough to fight for it, right? I'm cool with that. In America, like, I feel like that's something you should do. You should fight for what you believe in. Same with Black Lives Matter. When you push somebody so far, eventually they're going to fucking blow up. And they did. And I don't even blame the writers. I don't. Like, I think that that's exactly what you should do. When you don't agree with it, to a certain extent, like when you're oppressed that much, like, fuck it. Let's burn it all down, right? I get that, right? And I get the people who, if you feel that strong, I don't feel strongly about much of anything except for like Sarah. Like, I'd fucking kill somebody for Sarah, but aside from that, like, there's nothing that I'm so attached to that I will fight or risk my freedom or whatever. But I don't fucking hate the people that went to the Capitol because they believed in something so much, and not just one person or two or five, but a couple 100,000, right? Like, I don't know how many people were there, but there were a huge number that felt enough to go to the Capitol from other states and like go into the Capitol. Now there's like some things that happened that I don't agree with, and I think they should have just protested and never went in because it's a restricted building at a restricted time, and we know that. Like, you knew that.
It's not like they did anything of value in there, though. They just went in. They
no.
were like, "Oh, I'm part of a mob. I'm taking a picture."
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with the concept of rioting to
Get your
make
point.
right an
Yeah.
injustice or an injustice, but I would never equate the Black Lives Matter to the riots on that, because
Right.
that's a system of oppression that people have been dealing
Right.
with for centuries compared to a bunch of
I think I was just saying
people
it.
that don't believe what I believe and
Yeah.
have very little to stand on, in my opinion, to enter a federal building.
Yeah, the only reason I equate the two at
In
all,
this
trust me,
example.
yeah, like the only reason is because within the protest of Black Lives Matter, you had a subset of people that were willing to riot.
Yeah.
In the Trump protest, you had a subset that were willing to riot. Definitely not the same. Yeah, I'm with
like,
you.
Black
Totally,
Lives
yeah.
Matter. You can't go to the police about police brutality.
Right.
Yeah.
QAnon, you can go to your representative
Yeah, they
and get them
could've-
fired. Then
Yeah,
they'll be
dude.
out of office 2 years later and get somebody in you want.
They could have done it
But,
the legal way. Like,
yeah.
there's a legal way to do what they did that day, right? And that's another thing that we looked up in the fall of the Roman Empire. Like, that's what their leaders used to do. Like, when they didn't agree with being voted out, they would hire a gang of people, and then they would come in and smash up all the voting bases, like that they had stuffed their votes in and shit. And they would wreck that whole system so it was invalid, and then they couldn't overthrow the person in power. Like,
Yeah.
we're a lot like the Roman Empire in that sense. Like, they vote on a ruler, and then that ruler whatever, and they have a vote every whatever so many years. But the parallel was weird because you have this guy in power that hid behind a veil and made this gang of people do his dirty work, and then he's nowhere to be found. All those people that are being charged, nowhere to be found.
Right.
Paying bills that he ran up in states for when he was running for office, nowhere to be found. He's not paying $200,000 on it.
Shit
Right.
I've ever
You know what I
heard.
mean? Like, technically, he's like a fucking full-on piece of shit for that. Like, for those things and for not backing those people up or...
For everything.
And the last
just
thing he did in
everything.
power was ask for donations.
That's awesome.
But I don't take a stance on like one or the other because I don't give a shit about this guy. But it sucks that in this country they make it seem like you can have more than just Republican or Democrat. You can have Libertarian. You can have Free American People, I think is one of them, or whatever it is. It's something that's off the wall. And they've had other ones, but in most states you choose, am I a Republican or am I a Democrat? And then, like you said,
And then you got your 1% that's
electoral
independent.
college. They come along and do that. And most of the others, they can't get the financial funding to overpower those two. So you end up with two assholes in office, usually white males. Obama was a fluke because I guess they were throwing us a bone on that one. Like, I just don't think they're fair. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's completely unfair. But a lot of it comes down to something I've held true for a long time, is that we're just too fucking lazy to care.
Ooh, yeah.
Because if we did a peaceful march and protest in which we voted for, just pick the electrical grid, we want 10% of the budget for every year for the next 10 years to go to the improvement of highways and the electrical grid, and we will march on this city capital, town capital, wherever you want, and
This
we will
land.
we will shut down business, and preferably not riot, until it's done.
Right.
It would happen, or we would vote somebody in that would do it. But nobody's going to have the patience, the time, and the dedication to do it. It's just not going to happen.
It's not.
I got Netflix to watch.
Yeah. I got bills to pay. I got children to feed.
Now, is
I
that by
got phone
design?
games to play.
Said like you
Is that-
can't do that
Well,
on your
you
phone while
can
you're
take that both
watching.
ways. You can say that the system is amazing because it was designed to where that's all it takes. Is enough people having enough dedication to fight for a cause. But at the same time, you can be like, well, they knew that nobody would care enough to do it for the amount of time and the amount of
Right.
dedication it would take.
Because of all these things we've given them in the world to distract them.
It's the idea of give them circuses and cake, and then
Well,
they'll just lay down.
And
I always
animal
like to.
Animal crackers.
I like to think about like
Banana pudding.
the civil rights
No,
movement.
I'll riot.
That's right.
What year was the civil rights movement? 1930.
It was
Civil War
16.
60.
I'm sorry. I
63
apologize.
was Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech.
And you think about that, right? And you think about the amount of people that showed out, right? And the amount of people that did, and the peacefulness in that, and the right way to do it, right? And sadly, it was like they placated every single person that showed up to that movement because, I mean, fast forward to 2020, 2021, and we're having the same exact conversation.
Right.
So we never get material change. We just get placated. We just get, like here's here's a bone, and then like just to make you happy for a little while, and then when the next generation comes in, we're just gonna restart this game.
We'll
We'll
slowly
take-
chip away at it to get
Yeah.
it back to where the status quo.
Yeah, and I think that what the civil rights movement was like ended when Martin Luther King was taken out. Junior, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
It's
didn't wanna-
okay.
yeah.
I usually shorten it too. I felt like I
but-
shouldn't that time. I
And
don't know why.
that ended that way. It's not saying that that's what ended it, but you had that. I mean, that's an extreme amount of people. That was an extreme peaceful march. It's one of the biggest ones that you can think back and say that actually made a change. But did it? Like, if we're still having the motherfucking conversation today, did it make, like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like, apparently the system doesn't work if you still oppress the same people that marched that day. Like, it just sucks. Like, you think about that. And, like,
I mean, they
the
can
effort
share
it took.
water fountains now.
I mean, I don't want to say a lot of progress has been made, but progress has been made. It's not been a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
There needs to be, countless more, but things did improve due to that.
Right.
It's just like you said, we'll let you go so far, but now that nobody's paying attention, or we can put your focus on Iran in the 80s, or a drug war in the 90s,
Oh, yeah, man.
or a terrorist attack in
Right.
2000, you all may not care what's happening locally, and
Yeah.
we can revert back to those backwards ways. I don't know. I can't think of a better terminology
Atrocities.
than
No,
that.
I got you. That's something too. Like I've noticed. I'm not gonna say like as I get older, but I think like it was slowly creeping in, man. Like I would work around these people, and I'm like, man, these young kids, they don't like want to work. Like it's hard, and it's known in the industry right now. It's just so hard to find guys that are willing to do the manual labor, right? Kids or females for that matter, right?
What you
And then
trying
I'm
to
always
say?
like, there's a lot of females in my trade, is what I'm saying, and we can't find some that work either. And that's the thing, like it's so. Like I was so stuck on like, oh, these kids don't work. They only want to read headlines. They're not really, they're not studying. They're not standing for anything. And I think back when I was like 18, 19, 20, and I'm like, I'm not going to say that anymore because they're like, that's what the fuck you do at 18, 19, 20. You act a fool. You don't give a fuck about the system and do drugs if you're willing to go down that road because, I went down that road. Like, and I think back to then, I'm like, I was a shitty worker. I was a shitty, like, I didn't read anything. I didn't fucking care about anything. So
I think one of the biggest changes and one of the biggest issues that we've had as a society, especially in America, is that we've had the seed of fear and doubt that you referenced earlier sink in and affect us. because we all know that fear doesn't really take hold until it affects you, or
Yeah.
you don't really want to make a change
Right.
until something affects you. Whether it was, the Nixon Watergate scandal, countless other things since, people have started coming up with this idea of evil shadow governments, or conspiracy theories that continue, or
Bunch of fucking
cultists
methods.
on the rise, rapists, and it just goes on, and you just use those ideals to put people in a state of division. It's not even really about Republican race, economics, or anything like that. But back, let's say, the golden age in the 1950s, people had a sense of American pride that I wouldn't say exists anymore.
No.
No.
You could talk about our atrocities. You could talk about things we've done wrong. But when it comes down to it, America was your hometown, and you go to fight for it.
Yeah.
You'd have a common rallying cry. We don't have a common rallying cry for my generation, let alone generations after me.
Right.
The biggest one would be, I don't know, Twitter. Don't take down Twitter. But
No, I can agree with that. Yeah.
it's a common bond that's, we need to, in a way, I'm glad that it isn't just an American bond that holds us together anymore, because I don't think that it needs to be that. It needs to be more of a humanity.
Yeah. Dude.
And again, that comes to my idea that we'll never really progress as a human race until we have something beyond us that we can either use as something to bring us together, or put fear in us to
You
make
mean like
us
aliens?
Yes, aliens.
Yeah.
That would be one.
First contact. That's what we need.
That would be
That's
one.
what
But
we need.
for sure.
something that would put us in the same boat as we're all like, well,
Yeah.
You would
aliens
think
are going to
global-
destroy the
You
planet
would think
where you have to
global
come
warming
together.
might do that.
People don't believe in it.
Yeah. Until like they
Google-
actually rise and New York is underwater, they're not going to
But
believe.
can we
it.
say that people are going to believe the aliens?
No,
Because
I don't
mean,
think
half
so.
of them are going to be like, "Oh, it's the government faking it."
Well,
Yeah.
until, they show up and have a giant spaceship in the air. Probably not.
They shot my car.
But, I mean, Google Maps has an app now. I think they just released it in the past couple of years that can literally show you the sinking ice caps and the rising tides
Yeah.
I've seen that.
of the past 40, 50 years.
Damn, that's depressing.
Now, granted, I understand most climate change deniers say that this would be happening no matter what.
Anyways,
the Earth
yeah.
climate fluctuates, but it does fluctuate. Ask the dinosaurs.
Right.
Fluctuation
really
can
quickly.
mean extinction. We need to change something and try to do something about it, not
Yeah.
just let things happen.
Yeah.
But
And I think that's a lot of us do that. Like, just let things happen until they're too bad to where we can't inhabit this
Habitam.
world, and then we will find a way to fix it then, because business as usual will get real fucked up if we try to fix it right now.
Oh, yeah.
And that fucks up the bottom line. Like, repairing things now fucks up the bottom line. Like, we can't even build a fucking highway that doesn't have 1 million holes in it, let alone fucking fix global warming. So it's, it's baffling, man, that we just don't give a shit and people don't believe in certain things that are obviously fact. Yeah, like you said, that global warming does happen. Like, or climate change, we'll say they changed the narrative. I forgot, but it does happen.
Potato.
Yeah, like it's bound to happen. We should have prepared for it back in the 1950s, or started from the 1950s to now. We could have a great plan. We could have actual change in place to where we're good. We can fix it. It's all good. But you're talking, like, I watched a video the other day about a company I came at, Taylor something, right? That was doing offshore drilling, and a wave knocked their drill over, and then they had an oil spill. It's the longest running oil spill in America. Nobody's ever heard of it. And then once they were like, oh, it's only dumping 2 gallons of oil in the water a day. That's it. 2 gallons of oil.
No big deal.
That's
Oh,
it. No
okay.
big deal.
Fine.
But they grossly underestimated how much was spilling in, of course, because they didn't want the government to know. Well, anyways, long story short, it was spilling a shitload in there, and when it was finally noticeable by, like, satellites were like, because it wasn't in a high shipping traffic area, so they just didn't pay attention to it because they didn't see it. When they really surveyed the area, they paid attention to it. They went through the channels to get it fixed through Taylor. Didn't happen. The Coast Guard filed a motion to bring it onto their, like, now it's our problem, like the
Right.
government's problem. The government hired a company put a cap on it, started cycling that oil out so it didn't get spilled in that thing. Long story short, Taylor, the company that originally did it and was offered the correct channels like 10, 20 times, like they kept going back after it, ended up suing the government. They sued the Coast Guard, and they named the lady personally. And they sued the company that fixed the problem, like temporarily fixed the problem, and was collecting the oil because they were like, it wasn't that bad. You know, just like things like that, right? Just covering up or not paying attention to it. Like oil spilling into the ocean is a terrible fucking thing. I don't care if it's 2 gallons or 100 gallons a day. That's bad. But as Americans, I feel like that's what we do. We're just like, don't look at it. Just put it over in the corner, let it collect dust, don't fucking think about it, and it'll be fine. And then one day it blows up. And
Flint,
we're
Michigan.
like,
For
dude,
real.
yeah.
Gary, Indiana.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Don't think about it, and it'll go away, and it never goes away.
Yeah.
It's just always there. And then you know.
But it
becomes
doesn't
a
directly
problem.
impact me, so
Yeah.
whatever.
Until
I
it
still got
does.
Netflix.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Until it does, and then you have a bunch of people crying about it, and it's like, well, you know, that's what I wish that I could fast forward 5 to 10 years, right? And let's just say, and I'm so fucking sad that I gotta say, let's say I'm wrong about my views on the whole Trump thing, and maybe he is like the second coming of Christ and
You're
the
not
savior of
wrong.
America. Let's say that,
Yeah.
right? Let's say that in August they put him back in office, right? I will fucking admit 100 times that I was wrong, and I apologize for everything I said, right?
I think once is sufficient.
I wish
won't
that
do
I
it.
could fast forward 5 years and just see what played out. Like what plays out from here, right? What plays out for all those thousands of people that, you know, went to the Capitol and shit and were wrong? What plays out if I'm wrong? You know, if all the people were wrong, and then just child sex labor, whatever is rampant, and you know we're just fucking bleeding. Like I don't know, like bleeding money as Americans, and China takes over and shit. I just want to see
The
one way
world's
or
gotten
another.
pretty bad, hasn't it?
Well, I'm saying, you know, showing both sides, right?
Yeah.
Right? I got to admit that I was wrong to say China's taking over and shit like that. But I also want to see what happens to those thousands of people that believed a lie from a man in power that lied to their face and kind of forced it upon them. You know what I mean?
I stand by it. They will believe it until the day they die. And once he dies, it's going to be a government conspiracy that they took him out.
And that he's gonna. What did we say that he's gonna rise out of his grave and like?
Oh,
On a
yeah, he
certain
was
date.
going to be the next Jesus. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly what it was.
Oh,
He
through all
will
this,
come back.
he's gonna die, and then they're gonna bury him, and then like he's gonna come back, and all along he was the
3
second
days.
coming of
He's
Christ, or
going
the
to
first
move
coming of
a
Christ.
big ass rock.
You got the best resurrection.
I don't mean to make light of it because there's a lot of people that
do.
feel very strongly about
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of people on the other one, and I like to be on both sides so that I can see it for what it is. But I would like to skip this whole madness 5 years from now and just see what plays
It would
out.
be really
It'd be
nice.
Would it
It'd
be
be
nice for you
nice.
too?
What up,
Yeah.
dog?
But I don't know. I don't know where it's going. I don't think I give a shit too much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, none of us do.
know,
That's
it's
the problem. But like I said, it comes to a point where you have to make a decision. Are you just going to let it go, or are you going to do the most you can, or at least something?
Something, yeah.
And
What's
that's
your
all
plan?
we can do.
You all gonna move?
I,
What's the deal?
The only thing
Tell
that
us.
I really am fully hesitant about is a financial future for my children. If I can assure myself, at least in my thought process, that there will be something for them to make a good living where we move, then yeah, I would have no problem with it.
Yeah.
Ideally, what I think we would probably do is get dual citizenship and live here half the year and live in another country for half a year.
Oh yeah, dude. It must be extremely
Something like that.
I
But that
talk-
would be expensive as
Yeah.
Indeed.
I talked to the neighbor, and she's an older lady. She's in like her 90s. She's like 80 or 90. I only say it because she's super old. But she said that
I don't
about
actually know how old she is.
her kids are like 40, 45, right? They're quite old. She's a hardcore lady, right? And she was like, I'm sad for my kids and what they've been through, but I couldn't imagine having kids in this climate right now, like with all the unknowns, with all the unrest, with all the financial scarcity, with all the job scarcity, like all this. She was like, I as a parent would have a heart attack just from that, not even from health or anything, but just worried about, like, I commend people with children in this time because it's so hard to stay sane.
Oh, I know how you feel about children. I've listened to the podcast.
That doesn't mean that we don't care about you.
Yeah, dude. No,
Thank you.
I'm like, that's one of the multiple reasons we have on our list for not having them is like I couldn't stand
Because
to
we
worry
hate
about it.
them.
And
They suck.
that's another factor in my thought process. I'm like, I could be a person in my family line that breaks that cycle for them.
Yeah.
I could put them in a new situation where they have government-run insurance. They have a system in place to where they don't have to worry about, riots and, shadow government or pedophilia run amok. And
Yeah, that's
Trump-
the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Amok.
Amok.
No, pedophilia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When I said child sex labor ring or some shit, I was just mixing
good.
words.
I was
yeah,
gonna
okay.
say slaves
Yeah.
because it's not labor. Child sex
Well,
labor
child
sounds
labor's a thing. so
crazy.
it can be both. They can have a day job and a night job.
That I'm one. But I don't. It would be super hard for me to sleep at night. To like with all these. I mean, I clearly probably would eventually,
Yeah.
but it would be super hard. Like, like sleep. Like
Or you
deprived,
would die.
definitely,
So yeah.
But
Well,
I
a
mean,
lot
I don't
of
know
it-
how you do it.
It's a situation where, again, what are you going to do? Nothing. Let it happen.
yeah.
Do a little bit here and there, or dedicate everything you got to it. So
Do what you can or let it go.
Because like that would
your
be like
battles.
us if we were serious about that. Like we could just get rid of the house and take off, right? But
liquidate all assets and
everything.
But
Fuck yeah. dip
But
out.
you like then you have to think about like their future. Like what like. I don't know how many ever years beyond the time that you pass away. Like then you have to. I mean, it's just mind blowing. I don't have that. Not problem, but that factor playing into my decisions.
Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about wills, and
super
if
weird.
both of us were to be dead, who is going to raise our child?
Yeah.
You have to have those conversations.
Who'd you
And
pick?
Couch.
we actually haven't put it in a will yet, so I won't
It's
say.
yeah, I mean it's rough.
Ooh.
That's a rough call. That's why I told Sarah, I was like, I'm so lucky that I never had like a kid with my ex-wife or the other lady. Because if I did, like, and they're dead.
dead.
Like I would have 100% of that worry
Yeah.
without that. And I'm just so thankful that I didn't have that because like now that I'm older, I understand the consequences of my actions and
Yeah.
of other people's actions. For
I
that
say
matter.
every 9 to 11-year-old needs to have 3 days a week a babysitting job where they handle an infant,
I love that idea.
and that's the best abstinence program that the country
yeah.
could ever have.
Fuck yeah. Look at me. I was
But,
a fucking hoodlum and I babysat
Right.
and nope, not once did I ever get pregnant.
Right?
Not
No,
a one time.
Never. Do I want this crying child every 3 hours? Busting my eardrum up? No.
No.
I just knew what
But,
kids were, and that was enough for me.
That's white privilege, Ian. Shut up.
Right?
Sorry.
What, do
got it.
Egyptians not know that?
No.
God.
Their babies don't cry.
That's okay.
Oh, in regards to me being one of the few of your all's group that has children, the reason that I think that I ultimately decided with Jess to have a child and then another one was that we talked about it in length, and one, we both just pictured having a family, and for me personally, I grew up with divorced parents, and I mean I love my
shit,
parents.
yeah.
They got their problems, I got mine, but I've always wanted that feeling of a family.
Yeah.
I've always wanted that Christmas morning where we wake up, we just sit around and we enjoy each other's company.
Hell yeah.
You all have had that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can understand since you've had it.
yeah, I don't need to
whatever.
give it to someone else.
I never had it.
Done
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I never had it. We woke up and it was like, yay, I get to go
Well, how sweet
3
is
other
that?
houses.
Yeah.
And
I want to know what it's like to wake up in Italy with no one around.
right. I can tell you what that's like. 'Cause, My mom had to work shifts on Christmas, and I woke up by myself occasionally.
Oh,
That's not true.
God. I can
still
see
no.
that though. But that's like I love kids. I fucking love them. I wouldn't want to have my own. I think out of fear of all that other shit.
oh, they're
but a
well, and they're
fear
definitely
of,
coming
like-
out a drug addict. So there's that.
But
Well, you
fear
never know
of-
if it'll be drugs. They could be addicted to something else.
I guess
Yeah,
that's
some
true.
other
And
weird
God,
shit.
it fucking better not be sex. I just couldn't deal with
Or
it. I'd be like, you got to
reading.
get the fuck out.
But like I always
Mom, I'm
feared.
addicted to reading.
I always feared fucking my kid up and not being enough for the kid, or
Oh, you're gonna fuck them up.
yeah.
There's no way around it.
No.
You just have to hope that when you fuck them up, it's not one of the situations where you fuck them up for life.
Yeah, like they
Right.
course correct
Yeah.
on their own.
Right.
Maybe you'll just make them funny instead of like a
Oh,
hooker
yeah.
drug
Yeah,
addict.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so-
you'll be
Yeah.
a comedian. You won't die at 16.
Okay,
Success.
that's cool.
If you do, it'll be a healthy death at 16.
Yeah, one of those cancer-ridden kinds.
Yeah.
Real healthy.
My decisions put your life in God's hands. That's why you have cancer now.
You're an angel.
But it's all about that balance. I mean,
Death.
all about that balance.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Well,
What?
yeah, dude.
Good.
Oh, I was giving you a thumbs up.
But
Like,
you
hey,
don't
we
look
good,
at my
man.
husband.
I was looking at you.
It's better.
No, but again, dude, we greatly appreciate you coming. You should come on more. You got all these. You got all these responsibilities, but you
We'll
should
see you next
definitely
week.
try to come on more.
All right.
So we always need a guest. Like that's it's super hard to like ask somebody. There's like a bunch of people on Facebook that I'm like, I could ask them, but I'm one of those people. I don't like to ask like for anything, like a
Do you
favor.
want me to ask
or-
Not only would they not be thoughtful, they wouldn't be entertaining.
Yeah.
Bitch,
I don't
don't
wanna
act
hear
like
'em.
you're not on Facebook.
Well, I am.
Okay.
But I'm just saying the type of people he associates with that aren't
Damn.
here right now are just
Oh.
garbage.
I'm just trying to start a fight. I was going to say, what?
Yeah.
Instead of
No,
being
but-
insulted, I'll feel happy.
Look,
I'm
you don't
entertaining.
know my man. You don't know who he
I
knows.
see him every
He got
week.
friends.
Yeah.
This
Good
way
friends.
that this way
My
when
man's got good friends.
we're called boring white people, man. I think
That's
we need
right.
to add a little pizzazz so she could come on more often.
Yeah.
I mean, you might
Wildly
be
white
grouped.
is
Yeah.
what we should be called.
Yeah.
You might be
Wild.
grouped in with us, but it's fun nonetheless. No, but if you made it this far as a listener, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
for this.
thanks.
If you have anything to fucking offer to this conversation, put it in the goddamn comments, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how Danner got on.
And Sex Woods,
And
he
just
does.
being cool. Now, fuck Sex Woods.
But he leaves comments.
He
does.
leaves a lot of
Because
comments.
he's kind.
They're
Big long
incoherent.
comments. No, but yeah, we greatly appreciate it, man. That was episode 104 with the beautiful,
Fo, fo,
amazing Danny Tyler.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on, man.
Skibbity bop bop.
Danner's probably the coolest guest we
Wildly
have.
interesting podcast.
Lasers.
Yeah.